Good morning, Amenoveve.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm okay, thank you. Very nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Hey, I have to figure out when is a good time for me to come and pick up the
The
masks.
rest of the mask.
I'm sorry I haven't been able to do that yet.
No problem. I'm still keeping it for you.
Thank you, thank you.
How was your weekend?
Oh, it was good, thank you. How about yours? How are you feeling?
Uh, let's say I'm good.
Okay, let's say that, but it's still a little rough.
Yes. I'm still having the pain in the left side of my body, but I'll be fine.
Okay, all right. Oh boy. Well,
So, how are we celebrating July the 4th?
I think it's going to be a quiet July the 4th.
Yes, I think so.
There's not, yeah, I think they've canceled
But
the
can
fire.
we have fireworks?
Well, I think most places, I don't know if they're going to have them downtown or not. There might be. Let me see what they're saying here. I'm going to pull this up and see what they say. Because
I
usually they have
used to celebrate it at my embassy, and this year I was telling myself, now that I'm in the US, I'll live the real 4th of July with the 4th of July barbecue, the firework, and
yeah, and
but COVID-19 mess up everything.
COVID-19 has really messed up everything. Let me see what they say here for. Okay, Atlanta 4th of July fireworks. Let's see what they're saying. Yeah, they have one right near your apartment in Centennial Park, but that one has been canceled,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately. They're listing all the ones that are canceled. All right, let's see what we got. All right. East Point, which is down near the airport, apparently they're going to have virtual fireworks. Oh my goodness.
What is virtual firework? There is
Apparently they're saying,
firework virtually also.
my goodness. I think we're also tired of virtual things. We'd like something
Yes.
real. Because they're saying you download their
Hello,
app.
and
Hi, Anne.
Hey, hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm also good, thank you. We were actually just looking if there's any fireworks around Atlanta. And I am not, it seems like everything is going to be canceled or online, which is kind of, for fireworks, it's like you can do that anytime. You can just go find that. But I guess with the pandemic, I guess they're saying it's just not safe enough for people to be out. Hi, Ming. Hi, Christelle.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Hey, I think I may have a little something I want you to do. Let me see what I have here. I do have something. Good morning, Doris.
Morning.
Hi. Folks, I'm going to ask you to take a look. I'm going to give you a little poll that I want you to complete. And this is written by a really great writer. Her name is Ming Jin. She wrote this in 2020. So I would like you to look at the options for these two items and identify which one is correctly using citations. So I'm going to launch this poll for you now. Are you ready?
Yes.
There it is. Hi, Shu.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I've just launched a poll that I would like you to complete.
Okay.
Ming, you may recognize this quote because it is written by you.
Thank you.
Hi, Zara.
Hello.
There's a poll. I just want you to choose only one item for each one of these two is correctly cited. Notice the first one is using a direct quote and the second one is using paraphrase. So choose which one you think is right. Good morning, Bradley. I hear this is a special day, Bradley.
Yes,
Well, happy birthday.
thank you, John.
Happy
I'm giving you
birthday,
a,
Bradley.
I'm giving you
You all.
I have a special pop quiz for you, just for you and your birthday here. It's like birthday cake. We can all share it.
Is it necessary to use PAP style?
This is for APA style. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean APA.
this is APA. Yep.
Okay.
We got 3 people who've already done it. And by the way, I have to agree with this writer. We do need a positive and optimistic attitude towards life. She is very wise. Just 3 more people to go. Uh-oh, maybe somebody else. Good morning, Mariam.
Good morning.
Mariam, we're taking a look at, there's something in the poll. I want you to choose which one of these items is the correct APA citation style for that quote from Ming Jin.
Okay.
And as you're doing this, I hope you have a positive and optimistic attitude.
Yes, thank you.
Did one of my things get cut off? We just have one more person to complete this poll. It's interesting, we have a lot of variation here. Oh my goodness. All right, I think we now have our answers. I'm going to share the results with you, and then we're going to take a look at it. Can you see the results?
Yes.
For the first one, most people picked having the name of the person, the year, and then the paragraph number after the quote. And in the second one, where you're paraphrasing, they put the name and the year. The majority of you put or the plurality of you put the name and the year at the end. So let's take a look at what we have. Let's see what we got. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
we only see the title, privacy and computer. Yeah.
You see something that says the pop quiz?
Yeah.
All right. Here we have that if you're going to be in any of your writing, if you're going to use a direct quote, it can be a little confusing. One of the answers was, and this one, maybe this got cut off in my poll, but we just say, according to Chen, one of the most important strategies in life is to have a positive and optimistic attitude towards life. One person chose that, but what's wrong with this?
We don't have the date.
There's no date, and what else?
Paragraph, maybe.
Well, there's no quotation marks.
Oh, yeah.
So when you put those words out there without the quotation marks, that's considered plagiarism. Plagiarism in the university, if your professor believes that you are committing plagiarism, the consequences can be severe. On a minor offense, you could get a 0 on that assignment. On a larger offense, the professor could give you a 0 or an F for the class. You would automatically fail that class. And on an even more serious, a more serious consequence is you can be expelled from the university. So plagiarism is a very serious thing. It's part of the reason why I want you to be aware of all of these issues, because I think the majority of times when something like this happens, it's a mistake. It's not that someone is trying to do something that they know is wrong. It's just a mistake in terms of doing the formatting. What about this one? Look, we got the date. Life is good, right?
There is no quotation.
Yeah, no quotation.
Still no quotation mark. Shame, shame. You gotta have that quotation mark. Oh, good. We have the quotation mark. Life is good, right?
Yeah, but we don't have the paragraph or the page.
Thank you very much, Anne. You still need to identify the paragraph or the page. And there it is, that beautiful thing. Now, a lot of times you're going to be looking at things that are online, so you can just use the paragraph number. If it's online, but it's actually a form of a written text, they'll typically, like if it's a PDF, they'll have page numbers, and then just use the page number. So let me ask you this. How often should you be using quotes in your writing?
Quotes?
Yeah, how often should you do something like this?
Maybe one or two.
Yeah, I would say if it's a short quote like this, you could use like one per paragraph. But I definitely will recommend to you, do not use long quotes, more than one sentence. And when you use a quote, just like what's done here, is you actually combine it with your own writing. So notice here, I put according to Chen, 2020, comma, one of the most important strategies in life is, and then I add a short quote. I don't give sentences upon sentences of her quote, because essentially what you're saying to your reader, and in many cases it's your professor, is, I'm not going to make this, I'm not going to evaluate this, I'm just going to give you what someone else has written. And that's not a good look, because part of what you're trying to do as an academic writer is showing how you synthesize the ideas. So if all you do is just say, here's this idea from someone else, go read that, that's not really putting yourself in a good light as an academic thinker. So you want to, I would say, maximum of one short quote per paragraph. Should not be more than one sentence. If you're going to use a longer quote, you actually have to put it into a separate paragraph where you indent the whole thing, and it has to have a real clear reason why you have to include all of that information. Because what happens is your professor will look at it and just say, either this student doesn't really understand it, so they can't analyze it, or they're just being lazy and they just are trying to fill 5 pages or whatever it is. So you don't want your professor to be thinking that. Okay, let's take a look at that second one, because these are actually much more important. And these are the ones that I want you to use in everything that you write from now on. Paraphrasing. It's the same paraphrase. What's wrong with this? According to Chen, one of the most important strategies in life is to remain positive and optimistic as you go through your life. And then there's the year. Life is good, right? Everything is great. But it's not right. Why is that?
The year supposed to be in the beginning?
It's supposed to be, well, it's near the beginning. Any ideas where it's supposed to be?
According to Chen 2020?
Exactly. If you name the author, it goes directly after the author. This is the one that most of you said you liked. And this one I have to tell you, the good news about something like this, the formatting is not correct, but you're not going to be accused of plagiarism. So that's very good. So this one, you're repeating the name and the year. That would only work if you don't have the Chen, the last name of the author, at the beginning. If you just said, a wise person says that one of the most important strategies, da da da, and then you would put her name. But because her name is at the beginning, you don't repeat it at the end. And now here, what about this one? Anything problematic there? By the way, I'm going to give you a clue. There is something. We've got the name, we've got the year, and we've got the paragraph number. And maybe I shouldn't have given this an unhappy face. I could have given this kind of a neutral face. Because really, if you did this, it's no big deal. But typically, and the formatting is supposed to be, if you are paraphrasing, you do not give the page number or paragraph number. If you have a direct quote, you do. Now, adding this extra information, from my perspective, that's not really a big deal. But this is the one where it's most effective. Oh, and also for that first answer, Chen's name should not be Chen or the year should not be at the end there. But the second answer, according to Chen 2020, just as Mariam was saying, all you have to do is give that, then you paraphrase what she says, and you're good. Okay? Any questions?
Sometime when I'm reading some articles in internet, for me, I don't know, it's a dumb question, but to understand a paragraph, like choosing the paragraph number, it's a little bit challenging. I don't know how to choose it because sometimes they are very differently written. They are so chop.
Yeah, you're right. And sometimes, especially if you read sort of what I call pop journalism, very informal journalism, sometimes they'll have one sentence will be a paragraph. And so you may have a lot of them. And you just try and do the best that you can in just counting the paragraphs. But you're right, sometimes it can get a little weird, especially if they start having bullets and other things there as well. Okay. All right. So, I read some wonderful ideas over the past week. They were very good for me because I'm struggling in this time. This is a hard time. So I learned some very good rules that I'm very happy about. One writer wrote this: the first thing is being optimistic all the time, even in hard situations. Oh, another fine writer said, and I love this, rejoice in the simplest things. When your teacher gives you a little homework, rejoice. It's a wonderful thing. Oh, another fine writer said, and this I think is powerful for all of us, let go of relationships that do not serve us and prevent us from growing. Instead, spend more time with people who enable us. A beautiful thought. I want to mention one thing about this, and this is one of these tricky things about language. The word enable has a positive meaning where it helps us, it helps us grow, but it also in recent years has developed a second meaning, which is a negative meaning, which means, for example, if someone has a bad habit, like they smoke, and there's somebody who will say, come outside and smoke with me. They say, oh, you're enabling him because he wants to quit, but you're encouraging him to do something bad. But the way that's used here is very nice. I like it. Oh, here's another thought. And I actually think this is very profound. Rather than pursue a perfect result, I prefer to enjoy the process. Now, Chu may have been thinking of her timed writing as she was doing this, because something I hope you all have realized, writing is a never-ending process. You can always make your writing better, but at some point, you also just have to say, this is finished, and you let it go. So that's a beautiful, beautiful thought, and to enjoy the process. And here's another thought from a thinker here in 2020. The last rule for living well is to make sure to be surrounded by good people. And I'm very grateful because on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11, that's what's happened to me. I'm surrounded by good people. But I think that's actually a really wonderful thing. If you're around healthy people, people who are respectful and all that, that is really great. And here's another thought from a lawyer and law student. One rule is to be grateful about all the good results in your efforts for achieving something in life. It can be a small goal or a milestone, but always be grateful to achieve it. Now, I want to point something out here. I put this in quotes, but I also, you may notice inside my quote, I have two words that have brackets around them. Why do I put brackets around the word one and then brackets around the word be? Why did I do that? Any ideas?
Because Beatrice didn't write it, but it's to be sure to clarify maybe the sentence.
Perfect, yes. It wasn't actually in her original writing, but I added those. Now, when you add something like that, that's in a quote and it's in brackets, you cannot change the meaning. So I couldn't, you know, take out the word always, put in brackets and say never, because that's changing the meaning. But you can do that to make it grammatical. And sometimes when you're combining it with your own writing, you can add those words, but you want to make sure you tell them, this is now a little bit different than the original, but I do not change the meaning at all. So these are some good rules, don't you think? I think so too. And now I'm going to open up our chat room because I'm going to ask you guys to do something for me. In the chat room, I want you to choose one of these and write a sentence where you're using a direct quote. And then I want you to write a second sentence about a different rule using a paraphrase. And for both of them, I want you to use the correct citation format. So, for example, I could choose Zara's rule number 1, and I'll write it where I give her credit, but I put it in a direct quote and I make sure I have a citation. And then I could choose Anne's, and I make that one, I'll paraphrase what she said, but I'll still give it the citation. So I want you to choose one of these and write a sentence giving attribution, which means you let us know who wrote it, and a direct quote with the correct citation format. And just so you know, all of these are in the first paragraph. So it's paragraph 1. And then I want you to write a second sentence talking about a different rule that's on this list, and you use a paraphrase. Okay? Is that clear? Any questions? I look forward to seeing these in our chat.
Sorry, do we have to write it in the chat room?
I think I'm going to give you, because I'm very nice, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, but my question is, do we have to write it in the chat?
Morning.
Yes, in the chat room. Part of this too is I also want to get to see how good your paraphrasing is. Hi, Beatrice.
Morning.
Good morning. We used one of your rules, by the way. Very, very nice rule.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for every little thing I do. I got up this morning, I made coffee. I'm grateful. Okay, I'll let you guys, I just posted the instructions in the chat room. So I'll give you about 5 minutes. I'll disappear for a minute. Well, 5. I've also just put up a quick thing here to just remember to use attribution, like according to, or Nku claims that, dot, dot, dot. Don't forget to put a paragraph number if you're doing a direct quote. Everything's in paragraph 1, just to make it easy. Also, don't capitalize the first letter of that when it's in the middle of a sentence. And if you finish, take a look at the other things that are coming up there and think if there's anything you would change about that. Typically, we're not going to have to review other people's work, but we are going to have to review our own work. So it's very good to be able to look at writing, especially your own writing, with a critical eye. Did you miss me? All right. We're back. I want to take a look at some of these things. Oh, I see. I think I just got one more. Let me put that in real quick. Oh my gosh, here we got two more. Just 1 second. I'm putting these up here. Doris. Then we got Estelle. And I think we got one more from Mariam, about Mariam. All right. I'm going to bring this over here. Let me see if I can do that. Am I blocking out your thing now with another document? Can you see another document on my screen?
Yes.
Good. Good, good, good.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. There they are. I'm just going to quickly number these bad boys. All right. Okay. So let's take a look at what we have here. Zara wrote, according to Al-Mubarak, who I believe is Zara, comma, good. The first thing is being optimistic all the time, even in the hard situations. Can anyone tell me, would you modify anything like that? Anything in this statement? Or is it perfect?
I think we need a dash.
Pardon me?
The point dash.
Like a period?
Yes.
We definitely need a period at the end there.
And I think the year go after the name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, okay. We're gonna move that up there, right? And here I wanna point something out to you, something that's weird, I don't know why. If you end the sentence with a quotation mark, you're actually gonna put the period inside it, like that. But do we have to put something else here?
Yeah, the paragraph.
Oh, what did I just do? And then the period there. All
Do
right.
they have to put comma or something like this before the paragraph? I mean, between the paragraph and the situations?
You mean in here?
Yeah.
No, there's just a space.
Okay.
And then you have parentheses and then the page number or the paragraph number. And let me just show you, if it was a page number, you would just do this. If it's multiple pages, it's PP, like that. Oops, wait, and it has a period. So those are the way that you would do that. So, but other than that, I think it's very nice. I don't, oh yeah, I put in the, so that's good, yeah, okay. Let's look at what, so that one, very nice, Zara, very nice. Because I love color, I'm gonna give it a little color so we know we're done with it. What about this next one from Mariam?
I think it's the last name instead the name. I mean,
Well, she is the last name.
Okay.
So that's good. The only thing to be honest, and this is a very nice paraphrase.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah? Yes?
Yeah,
I just said
okay.
I like it.
I like it too. I would just not have that capital letter there. Even though it's kind of a new thought, you don't put the capital letter in. So it would just be according to she, 2020, comma, do not always think about the results. let me just make it just a little, but instead try to enjoy the process. And that's just because adding this comma and but stops it from being a run-on. Okay. Now, so that's also very nice. Oh man, we got to put that one in there. Nice. Beatrice wrote something. According to Mayamin Alaid. Alaid, am I saying that right, Mayamin? Alaid?
Yes, correct.
Not too bad?
No, correct.
You should rejoice in the simplest of things. Nice. Now, did you put this in there just because it's a capital instead of, or a lowercase instead of capital, Beatrice?
Yes.
I don't think you really need to do that.
Oh.
At least in APA. Check, make sure for your field if that's something that has to be done, but I'm pretty sure in APA you don't need to do that.
Okay.
Now this is really nice. Well, let me ask you all, what would you, anything you might want to modify here?
Put the period inside of the quotation marks.
Oh yeah. We do want to have that. If we're not having anything else there, we would want to have it like that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But are we missing something at the end there?
Yeah, comma.
At the end?
Between 2020 and you.
Oh, good. First of all, if you use that attribution structure according to, you're going to have a comma. Good.
And also get rid of first name.
Yeah, and here, typically for APA style, definitely, and most academic writing, you're only going to use the last name. It's a little cold and impersonal, but that's what people do.
Okay.
You may find in your fields that you may have some flexibility with that, but typically that's the way they do it. That's sort of the consistent academic style. And then anything here at the end?
Yeah, the paragraph.
Yeah, remember, just like up here,
Paragraph, yes.
and that way we're actually gonna, and then it's perfect. So, look at Nate. Nate, hello, Nate. I didn't even see you come in. How are you?
I'm good, and you, sir?
Also good, thank you. Zara claims that the first thing is being all the time, even in bad situations, optimistic. Okay. Now, I like that he is using a different attribution form. Very nice. What about using the name Zara?
You need to use the last name.
Am I spelling this right? Wait, like that?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
excellent.
So Al-Mubarak 2020 claims that the first thing is being all the time, even in bad situations. And I think, Nathan, you just had that period by mistake there. Optimistic. Now, remember, when you say that somebody claims something, you are giving a little bit of an opinion that maybe it's not, you're not sure you really agree with it. So that's something, you know, if you just said Al-Mubarak states or Al-Mubarak believes, that's stronger than if it's just she claims it. And what's even more suspicious is if you say she alleges it. So then you're really not sure you agree with it. But this is a very nice thing. And notice Nate also used a very interesting structure. He said the first thing is being all the time, even in bad situations, optimistic. Now you could have put the word is being optimistic all the time, even in bad situations. He did a nice, actually very elegant structure where he put the adjective at the end. Nicely done, Nate.
Thank you.
And now Zara's back. Alaid 2020 said that you have to enjoy the simplest of things. I'm just going to put a period on that. I figure periods when you're in a chat room, that's okay. What do you guys think of that one from Zara? Let me ask you a question.
Comma after
Yeah.
said that.
I'm sorry, what?
Maybe we need comma after said that.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because you do not need a comma after it. And when you have somebody said that, there's no comma. However, I do want to point out, why are we using the past tense here? Zara, why are you using the past tense? For the word said. Notice these other ones, claims is the present. I don't know if we've used anything else. So that's the only one.
This sounds like a reporting a speech.
Yeah, it is like reporting speech. Yeah, you're reporting it's a reporting verb. But notice too that if you use the simple present tense, you as a writer are saying this is really relevant now. When you put that in the past tense, you're sort of giving it a little distance. So it may have been before the pandemic, they said worry about or enjoy the simplest things. But now, I don't know, something like that. It's okay, it's grammatical, but it changes the meaning just a little bit. Very nice, Sarah. Doris has said, according to Anne, 2020, the last rule for living well is to make sure to be surrounded by good people. Boom, boom, boom. What do you guys think? Love that, Doris. Nice work. Beatrice?
I guess the period goes after the PP1.
Yes. So that goes there. And because if you want to use page, then it would be like that, Doris, see?
Mm-hmm.
What about using the word and?
It's last name.
It's so impersonal, but it's true. And just this capital letter. And then that's perfect. Now, look at this next one. Mariam wrote, in quotes, rather than pursue a perfect result, I prefer to enjoy the process. Was that what she actually said? Let me check what was the...
Yes.
Rather than pursue a perfect result, I prefer to enjoy. Okay, good. That's definitely what she said, exactly what she said. What do you think about this? It's not bad, huh? It's good. I want to mention one thing about something like this, and this is looking at it sort of beyond just the quote itself. When you have a quote in your writing, it's very unusual to have a complete sentence as a quote without having something in it. Like, for example, we see here, according to them, something there. Because if you just have the quote like that without any sort of addition to it, it doesn't really, it's hard to connect. It's interesting. I'm not quite sure why that is. But it's true. To have it just by itself is a little odd. But everything else is perfect. Excuse me. Make sure you put a little space there.
I sometimes use this kind of quotations for hook. Sometimes I'm just starting a paragraph, and it's kind of for me that I don't need to write anything else. I'm just bringing a kind of idea, and then I start my writing.
Yes, yes, and I've noticed, I've seen you do that, and that's not bad. There may be a way to sort of connect it a little bit more.
Okay.
One of the ways that typically, if it's a separate quote just like that, you actually would put it apart from the actual paragraph.
Okay.
You know, like you might have a quote from Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
Before you start your essay, something like that.
Okay.
But this is still very nice. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, sorry. All right, so I'm gonna put her all in yellow. Oh, this is so nice. According to Mariam, 2020, rejoice in the simplest of things. What do we need to add here at the end, Chu?
Actually, my Amin said that.
Oh, wait, that was not Chu?
It's Chu, but she say according to Mariam. It should be according to Mayamin.
Oh, Mayamin. All right, so it would be paragraph, oops. Make sure you add the paragraph in the period. And actually,
Should be Aliyah.
Alaid.
Alid.
And everything else is perfect. Now, and that's such a nice, one of the things here, and actually I like what you did there was you found the one kind of poetic component of that. And that's the kind of thing that really deserves to be in quotation marks. Something I've noticed in some writing is sometimes you guys will put things in quotation marks, but all it is just a listing of facts. And you can very easily just paraphrase that.
Mm.
When you use quotation marks, you want it to be for a reason. And the reason shouldn't just be, I'm going to share this information. It's because they say it in a way that's really incredible. Now, Beatrice, you will know sometimes like Supreme Court justices write things very intensely or poetically, and you want to use that exact quote. But for things that are just sort of like how many people got sick or, you know, what the poverty level was, that's not necessarily going to be
Poetic.
yeah, not necessarily worthy of a quote, especially because you should only use a few quotes. I'm getting a little allergy here. Sorry about that. All right.
Can I ask quickly a question?
Yeah.
So when we writing, okay, according space to Alid 2020, comma, and then we have to space and then quotation mark.
Yes.
And then the quotation, and then again, the other quotation mark in the end also don't have to have a space.
Between the word things and the
Yes.
quotation mark, no space, but then
No
a
space.
space here.
Then space here, and then again in the parentheses, no space, the paragraph, then a dot, and then space, and then, okay, I mess up with these things. I just want to make sure that.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Thank you.
Now look at this, Mayamin. According to Beatrice Roca in 2020, one rule is to be grateful about all the results. Could be. Here's, now, what do you guys think about this? Mayamin has done some nice work here. What do you think about that?
She forgot to end the quotation. She forgot to.
Oh yeah, you definitely want to make sure you have the end of that quotation. And actually, you want to make sure that you have that there. And I think we need a comma.
Parentheses.
First name.
Let me ask you this. Mayamin has done something interesting. What about this? Instead of putting in parentheses, she said in 2020. Is that okay?
No, I think so. No.
Maybe it's okay, but it's unusual.
It's unusual. Now, one of the things too that we should all remember, each one of us are unique as writers. So it's okay to be a little unusual sometimes. You don't want to be unusual in a way where people will say, wait, what's this person thinking? But I think something like that is okay, unless you have a professor who's so strict about how they want you to do a citation. And in a way, having it like this, and she sort of humanized the writer by giving her first name. So in a way you could, I actually think that could be okay to work like that, according to Beatrice Roca in 2020. See, that's a little more informal, but I think it works. You could just say, according to Roca. Is that how I should use your last name, Beatrice? I know you've got a longer name. Is Roca okay?
Beatriz.
Well, I don't know. She may have left. The other thing, though, is this, where you have, in your middle of your quote, you have a new sentence. I'm going to recommend for you guys, do not do this. If you're going to try and extend it like that, here's what you do. You make 3 dots, and you put in and like that. Because in your quote, you want to have it all just be in one sentence. And then, of course, we want to get rid of that. Add that, and there we go. Boom. Okay, Mayamine, do you see that?
Okay, but what about if the could be 2 sentences?
You should not have your quote be 2 sentences.
Okay.
And again, one of the things that you have to remember is you don't want to use extensive uses of quotes. If it's going to be 2 sentences, you can paraphrase the key part. Like, for example, I think it was you who said, rejoice in the simplest of things. That's a beautiful phrase. That's a good thing to quote. But all of what Beatrice has here, I mean, it's nice, but maybe you could just, you might even want to just quote just the part about the milestones or something, and then paraphrase the rest of it. But you don't want to just have sentence after sentence of quotes, because that tells your reader, who is often your professor, that you're really just copying stuff from somewhere else and you're not analyzing. You're not restating it or giving it your critical thinking. You see what I mean?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Anne has said, according to she, oh, now Anne has gone with some wild quotation marks. Rather than pursue, I prefer to enjoy the process. Now I'm assuming that's a direct quote, is it?
Yes, it's a direct quote.
Right. Now, I actually think there are other writing traditions where you actually can use that, I think. Is that correct? But I would...
it's because my laptop is French, so this is French quotation.
Mon Dieu!
That's why.
Okay, so yeah, so those are the quotation marks. And other than that, that is perfect. Boom. We've got the year up here. We've got the paragraph down here. Great. Amenuveve. Hello. According to Unku. Unku, am I saying that right? Unku?
Yes, in school. It's Unku. Yes,
Unku.
it was right.
Okay. What do you think about this from Amenuveve? She's got all the things. I think we just need to move them around a little.
Can we use a paragraph in the beginning before the quotations?
No, no, this has to be moved.
Okay.
So that we move there. So all the elements were there. Amenuveve. You see, we just have to put them in that other order. Okay.
Okay.
And according to Zara, the first thing is being optimistic all the time, even in the hard situations. Again, there, Minjing, it's nice, but we need to make sure if it's a direct quote. Okay. Because we want to be so serious. Now here, so Ming, that's very nice though. I like that. For Beatrice is here, again, I would get rid of that, and you don't need your paragraph if you're going to paraphrase.
Yes.
I want to say though that if you, something that I did in one of my more in-depth papers was I made notes to myself where things came from, even though I was paraphrasing. And it's just because if you're going to have to defend your paper, you want to be able to find that very quickly. And if you're looking at something that's got 300 pages, you want to know where it's coming from. And I want to say for Beatrice in law, you do have to cite where it comes from all the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so for you, you do have to do that. And I love that paraphrase. The only thing is, remember, because she is singular,
Yeah.
suggests to enjoy
Yeah.
the process. And I love that approach too. All right, Christelle. Christelle, how are you? She says that.
Good.
Rather than pursue a perfect result, I prefer to enjoy the process. Remember, Christelle, that this stuff, since you've already mentioned it at the beginning of the sentence, it comes out. And we'll say paragraph 3. All right. Other than that, perfect. According to she, the process has been, nice. Has a better savor, interesting, than the result. And that's perfect. Just like that, because it's a paraphrase. Notice how easy it is too when you're writing, when you're paraphrasing, you get to play with words a little bit. You want to make sure you keep the same meaning, but you also get to
So paraphrasing, it is kind of like more flexible.
exactly. Yeah, it's much more flexible. And it's good too, because that actually, one of the things, if you do direct quotes, you're really limiting your input into this. And the next one by Anne is perfect, even though you got those French quotation marks. And here's Doris's. Instead of wisdom, what word can we use to make it an adjective?
Wise.
Yeah, a wise person knows that one of the rules for living well is to be surrounded by good people. What about this? How about the citation here? What do we need to do?
Parentheses.
We have to put in parentheses the name and the year. Oh, and get rid of this. Just like that. Okay, Doris? And that's actually really nice. I like the way you've paraphrased that. That is paraphrased, right? Now, yeah, we're going to talk about paraphrasing, but that's I think that's good. That's good. Okay, and then we have Christelle's. Oops, wait a minute. What have I done here? According to she, it's better to valorize the process rather than be only focused. Oh, my favorite, passive voice, focused on the result. Nice. And then the last one, Mariam, writing about Mariam. Mariam suggests.
Nobody did my quote, so I say I have to say
here, you can't really have suggest and then the comma. That people should, you have to do something like that. People should let go of the negativity and spend more time with positive. And that's nice. But what should we do about that first name? I know you know her very well. But wait, I'll make sure I can spell it.
AIQ. I have actually 2 last names.
Well, and one of the things that you do, you make it, you identify how you want to be, how you want to be referred to once you start publishing papers. Mm-hmm. You know, some people will have hyphenated last names. Some people will use more than one last name. And that's how you would put it in the references. Very nice, folks. Very nice. All right. Yes?
When the last one, Miami, when we paraphrase, we don't put the comma after the year?
No, because that is only, the comma is not actually about the year. It's about this according to.
Okay.
So notice that the according to, yeah, you have to use the comma. But when you have something like a wise person knows that, Faik, how do you say your last name, Mariam?
Yes, you're right. You're
correct.
correct.
Faik, good. Faik suggests those don't use commas.
Okay, got it.
And she says, oops. Oh, okay. All right. Oh my goodness. Privacy. I asked you to read something about privacy.
Mhm.
Does anyone remember what are the two suggestions from the writer of that essay?
I read
Take
it
a
last
look, see
night. I
what you
forgot it.
I know it's been a while. It's okay.
One of them is not to publish, make public every single occasion in the life, like be more private in regards to a lot of information that you're sharing, be more cautious.
Yeah, exactly. Part of it is, yeah, showing more caution. Do any of you have social media, a social media presence? Does anyone belong on, do you guys use Facebook or Instagram or Twitter?
Yes,
Yeah.
used to do it.
Do you post everything on there?
No.
No, I don't know.
We all have our moments where we can be embarrassed, right? What was the other suggestion that they had to be safe? And it's more about money, I would say.
Yeah, it's about like saving your number of card, that money you're using, like saving it like a wallet, and don't have to put it in everywhere, something like that. And
Well, they were
especially
saying definitely we have to be careful about using secure websites.
yes.
And did you notice, and I don't know if I actually identified that right on the page after the essay, there was a summary and response about the essay.
Yes.
Did you notice what the summary response writer said was missing from the essay? Well, I'm going to share what that writer wrote. And part of the reason why I think this is important, being able to summarize something is very important in academic writing. And then also being able to show your critical thinking skills by responding to it as well is very important. And I know Beatrice knows this because like every case you see, you've got to essentially do that, right?
Mhm.
You have to be able to summarize what's important and then also criticize it or show some critical analysis of it.
Right.
So in this summary response, in the response part, the summary part of it was just what are the main points that were covered. But then in the response, the writer was saying that this article didn't talk at all about health issues. You know, it didn't talk about what happens if you post, my job is driving me crazy. Or political views. You know, if what all the implications are for that. And that he felt that, or she felt that the writer of the original essay really missed something important in those three areas. Let me ask you all a question. Do you feel safe when you go on the internet?
No.
Not always.
Not too much. If any of you have children, do you ever have pictures of your children on the internet? I do. Of course, mine are 19 and 22, so
Not so
they're
much.
doing a lot more than I am. And what is it that you do to keep information safe?
Sometimes not tagging everybody or not tagging minors in situations.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I have a friend of mine, and she and I'm on Facebook, and so is she. And she talks about, she has 2 sons, but whenever she posts something about whatever they're doing, she talks about son 1 and son 2. She's never used their names. So it's like, you know, it's son 1, you know, went and played soccer today or something.
It sounds like thing 1 and thing 2 from Dr. Seuss.
Very much so, yeah. That's kind of the way I look at it. Well, one of the reasons why I wanted you guys to take a look at this is that I think these are issues that are very important, and they're evolving. You know, I mean, right now, this platform that we're on, Zoom, has had a lot of, there have been concerns about security, about whether people can zoom in here, get it, zoom in. And I don't know quite what they would do. I mean, if they want to listen to my grammar, God bless them, but you know, if they want to do the homework with us, they can, but there are real security issues about that. And I think especially, maybe not so much with us because we're all adults, but for children who are in school and have to use these platforms, they don't want to have children exposed to, you know, whatever outside influences there are, or predators or anything like that. Well, you know, you guys may not know this, but I'm a little older than you are. And I have had a long life. It's been good, but I've had some regrets. I've had regrets in my life. You know what a regret is?
Yes.
You know, like, and one of the things that we're going to talk about today is how do we talk about regrets? So, for example,
I don't know what does it mean.
a regret. What does a regret mean? Anybody?
Something that you wish you have done, but you never accomplished for some reason. Could be fear, maybe at
You're
that
not
point.
happy about doing something.
Yeah, it can be about things that you never did or things that you did and you wish they had been different. So a regret is something that you say, in the past, I did something and maybe it wasn't the right choice. Or in the past, I didn't do something and maybe that wasn't the right choice. So we're going to take a look at a little bit of the grammar about how we talk about that. So this grammar gets a little intense, but I know you all love grammar as much as I do, especially Nathan. Nathan loves grammar. Right, Nathan?
Yes.
There it is. I knew it. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Don't scream, but we're going to talk about something that's called the past unreal conditionals.
Wow.
And that is what we use when we want to talk about regret. All of this is in Unit 17 in the book.
You know, John, I'm so happy when you show us the slide for grammar. I love grammar, like you.
All right.
Right.
Just like me.
Yes.
We have no regrets about grammar. We love grammar.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to look at the past unreal conditionals. What they do is they allow you as a writer and as a speaker also to talk about hypothetical situations, untrue or unreal situations in the past, and then what the consequences could have been for those situations. We use it to contrast the real things with the things that might have been. So for example, in this country, many times people will talk about the presidential election in 2016. If it had been different, then what would 2017 have been like, or 2018 or 2019? would things have been different? What about the pandemic? How would that have been different? But all of that is the talk about the unreal because it didn't happen and the consequences didn't happen. So here's an example. If the author had discussed education in his article, the text would have been stronger. The reality, the author did not discuss the text, did not discuss education. The reality, it was not a strong text. But the unreal part of it, the part that I wish he had done differently, is what we're describing there. If this information had been taught years ago, we would not have had so many problems. So we did not teach this information years ago. We had so many problems as a result. So this is telling us the things that didn't happen, but could have happened, and what the results would be. I know it's confusing. Yes, Beatrice?
I have one question. Yes, it's in regards to that. Could we use could instead of would or no?
Yes, yes. The could makes it a little bit weaker. It's more of a possibility rather than a real direct cause and effect.
Okay.
But both of those are correct. Yes.
Thank you.
So this is how we create this structure. We use an if clause using the past perfect. And then we have the main clause, which has would, could, or might, and then the have, and then a past participle. I know, my head is spinning with that. The if clause can come first or last in the sentence. And if it comes first, we use a comma. Let me show you an example. So if I had read the privacy policy on the company's website carefully, I would have avoided the problem. Actually, I can tell you guys a story. I belong to a frequent flyer program for an airline, Spirit Airline. And they had a policy where every March they took $70 from my credit card and enrolled me in their program automatically. This last March, I didn't want to do it. But I waited until after they did it, and I talked to the credit card company, and they said, sorry, if you, John, if you had read the agreement, you would have known that there's no way to break this agreement after it happens. So that's what those do. Notice that you can reverse it and say, I would have avoided the problem if I had read the website's privacy policy. Now, the if clause gives the untrue condition. So this thing that you're saying, this could have happened. You give something that's not true that contrasts with what was true in the past. The main clause then expresses what result would be from that untrue statement. If she had used separate accounts for work and personal email, that's the unreal condition because she did not do that. But if she had, she would have avoided trouble. So the real situation was she used the same email account for personal and work email. That's about Hillary Clinton, by the way. She got into trouble. Now, if he hadn't made his passwords difficult, the thieves would have been able to access his accounts. But the real situation was Smart John made his passwords very difficult. And then the real result, nobody could get into my accounts. I was safe. So being able to express these kinds of ideas, it's very important because you're able to show possible scenarios of things that could have happened based on a different set of facts. Now, this connects to what Beatrice was just asking about. If you use would, that shows a more certain cause and effect than could or might. If I'd noticed the lack of security on that website, I wouldn't have ordered merchandise. So definitely this would lead, the first thing leads to the second. Could have and might have express less certain results. If I had ordered merchandise from that website, I might have had my information stolen. It's a possibility, but it's not a definite cause effect. Oftentimes, what you want to use this structure for is when you want to talk about regret. And to go back to Zara's question, regret is a sadness about something that happened in the past that you want, if you could, you would change it. You want to change that. If I had insured my laptop, oh boy, insurance. The insurance company would have reimbursed me when it was stolen. So I'm sad, or I regret, that I did not buy the insurance when I could have. Now, in addition to having that past imagined event, having a past imagined result, you can have the past imagined event and a present result. So here you can say, if the author had mentioned his sources, something in the past, right now the article would be more compelling. So you can talk about it completely in the past, or you can combine that past unreal event and an imaginary present event. Let me go back there. Let me take a breath, because this one to me is a complex one, but I know we can get through it. Any questions? Get ready to write.
This is the easiest. Oh, yeah, the last one is the easiest one. Maybe
Pardon?
because I know it before.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, I said the last one is the easiest one for me. Maybe because I know it before.
Okay. The one where it's the past going to the present?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an easier structure. But let's take a look at some examples that I'm going to ask you to work on. And this is also from your book. So it's actually getting some of your homework out of the way. But I think these are good to walk through together. So we're going to combine these sentences. What you're going to see is what really happened. I visited my friend Eric for the weekend. I lost all my credit cards and my cell phone. True story. It really happened. So now I'm going to regret that. I'm sad. And talk about what could have happened. So for that first sentence, I visited my friend Eric for the weekend. Let's put it in the unreal past. If I had not visited my friend Eric for the weekend, then what the result would be? I would not have lost all my credit cards and my cell phone. So what's in black here is the true story. I visited my friend, I lost my credit card. Then we use these structures to set up that alternate universe. If I hadn't visited my friend, I wouldn't have lost my credit card. So now what I want you to do, and you can do it on paper or on your computer, I want you to look at these things. Eric wasn't ready to go swimming on Saturday morning. That's true. What I did, and this is also true, I went to the beach alone. So now I want you to write down what could have happened. So take a minute and write down what you think. What's the opposite of that?
In number one, can I use I will not instead of I wouldn't?
You mean would and not?
No, well. Can I say I want?
No. No, because this is not, won't would be for the future. And we're not talking about the future. We're talking about an imagined past. Because all of this happened in the past.
Can I say instead of like, if Eric didn't, or if Eric hadn't. No, which one? I don't know.
Hadn't.
Hadn't.
Yeah, if Eric hadn't.
Why not
No,
didn't?
wait, be careful because Eric wasn't ready to go to the beach. So to make the opposite, you have to say if Eric had been ready.
I think she is talking about number one.
Oh wait, you're talking about number one or number two?
No, I'm talking about number two.
Okay, good. So notice because number two is in the negative, Eric wasn't ready. The imaginary would be Eric was ready. So if Eric had been ready. And then what happens after that?
I would have gone to the beach with him.
Well, you could say I would have gone to the beach with Eric, or I would not have gone to the beach alone.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, this poor guy, poor John, here I am, I'm alone at the beach. All because Eric wasn't ready. I'm angry with Eric. You know, we like to blame other people when we do dumb things.
You can say,
Here.
I had known that Eric wasn't ready to go swimming on Saturday morning. I wouldn't go to the beach.
Wait, if I had what?
If I had known that Eric wasn't ready to go swimming on Saturday morning, I wouldn't go to the beach alone.
Well, you would use that if that second part was going to be now in the future, in the present, but it's all in the past. So you say, I would not have gone. I would not have gone to the beach alone. Because the reality is I did go to the beach alone. But if Eric had been ready, or if I had known that Eric wasn't ready, I would not have gone.
The beach.
So I'm going to put up my answer so you can see that and compare it with yours. Oops. Oh, here, I'm just pointing out, those are the two things to remember. For the if phrase, it's the if and then the had, the past perfect, had and the present, the past participle. The second part is would, could, might, and then have, lost. So here's what we got for Eric. So see if you agree with that.
Can I say, if Eric had been ready, I would not go to the beach alone.
Eric had been ready. No, because you have that would put it in the present or future. You have to use the would not have gone. It's weird. It's a strange construction.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is the first part, if Eric had been ready, that's not real. That's just an imaginary alternate thing. And then the result from that is I would not have gone.
Yeah, for me, when I read it, it's easy to understand, but it's hard to use. I mean, it's hard to write for me.
Yeah, well, that's why we're gonna do a little more practice on this. So take a look at this one, and then I'm gonna ask you to do the next few. Because once you see it and you realize you're gonna create the opposite of what happened, and then the opposite result of what happened. But you have to use the had and the past participle after if, and then the would and the have and the past participle for the imaginary result.
So both of them we need to use past participle, past perfect.
Well, the first one you use the past perfect. The second one, it's the perfect, but it's not in the past because you're using the modal.
Okay.
Will be a case where we use past perfect and then in the second part, future perfect?
not the future,
Not the
because
future.
this is all still in the past. Remember, this was last weekend.
Okay.
We're talking about an imaginary act in the past.
Okay.
Eric had been ready. Christelle, yours is great. If Eric had been ready to go swimming, he wouldn't have been.
Oh,
And then if Eric had been ready to go swimming on Saturday, I would not have gone along. Nate, that's good. But because you have the if there, Nate, use a comma after morning. It's all one sentence. And I like yours, except for because that first part, if Eric had not been late, you have to use
Yeah,
the past participle, okay?
yeah, I wrote it, but I knew it was grammatically incorrect.
And then for the second part, I would not have gone. Because you also need the past participle for go. I would not have gone. Okay?
Can I request something? If I don't understand the purpose of have had, and had have, and have been, so, you know, it's tricky.
This is tricky. This is not easy. And that's why I want us to do, one of the things that I think is useful is to practice this, because it really, in a way, it's not intuitive. It's not like you say, oh yeah, of course, because it's like had, would, have, but you have to notice the pattern and then try and practice with the pattern. And what you can do is think about what you did last weekend.
Yeah.
Anything that you did that you say, I should have done something different, or anything that you didn't do. Like, oh, guess what I did? I ate pizza this past weekend. And maybe I should not have eaten pizza.
Yeah, I'm always talking like that. So I think I know, but
We're full of regrets.
life.
So take a look at these three and see what you can write down for these. Eric wasn't with me. I left my wallet and phone on the beach while I went swimming. That's true. I went swimming. Someone stole my credit cards. That's true. I forgot the address of Eric's house and I couldn't find the house. That's true. How can you tell me the things you wanted to happen that didn't happen? And Beatrice, remember, I would not have left my wallet.
oh,
You have to have the have, I would not have left. So it's complex because you got the modal, the have, and the
left.
past participle.
All right. Okay. So it is this.
Eric.
Or be.
If Eric had with me, can I say like that?
But don't forget the verb to be. Eric had,
Like that? Is
yep,
very-
perfect, Beatrice. If Eric had been with me, I wouldn't have left my wallet, etc., as Zara says. I wouldn't have left my wallet while I went swimming if Eric had been with me. Amen uveve, that's perfect. You reordered it, but it's perfect. That's good. You can see what I have here too.
Oh, okay. You took away the while I went swimming.
Oh yeah, while I went swimming. I should have added while I went swimming. Like Zara, I added a little etc. That's nice, Nate. Nice. What about, and there's number 4 is I went swimming. Someone stole my credit cards and my phone. That happened. I regret it. I'm sad. What's the imaginary world where I would be happy? And if you look at the last couple ones from Beatrice, Amenuveve, and Nate in the chat room, those are all great. And Zara's too. If I hadn't gone swimming, no one would have stolen. Nice.
I
You got
really
some
want,
nice ones there.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, John. I
Yeah.
really want you to look at the sentence that I wrote. I know this is wrong, but that's how I usually do because I don't know to use the have, had, been, and these kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. And those things there, you could say, if I did not go swimming, no one will be able to steal my wallet. That's talking about a general rule. And that's a good thing to say. So in general, if I'm going to go to the beach this week or next week or anytime, if I do not go swimming, no one will be able to steal my wallet. So that's not talking about the past. That's talking about a general rule.
Mm.
But we're talking about a specific event.
No.
And one of the things in academic writing is oftentimes you have to talk about hypotheticals about what happened in the past. If the United States had approached this pandemic differently, then something would have happened differently.
Yes, yes. I understand your point completely. I just can't do it.
Don't, and that's why I'm going to have you practice, practice, practice.
Practice, practice. Thank you.
If I hadn't, remember, Anne, if I hadn't gone swimming, it's the past participle, not the simple past tense. Okay, Anne?
Okay.
So if I hadn't gone swimming, someone would not have stolen my cards.
Can I say also my credit card and phone would not be stolen?
Would not have been stolen.
Would not have, okay.
Would not have been stolen. If I hadn't left my things unattended, I would not have lost them. That works, Doris. Perfect. That expresses it very well. It expresses a little differently, but it's perfect. Bradley, are you putting anything up there, Bradley? Or are you just eating birthday cake?
No, not yet.
John, it's correct to say if I had not been swimming.
Please, John,
Yes?
can we say that my credit card and my wallet will not have been stolen if I have not been swimming?
You could say if I had not been swimming or if I had not gone swimming. Yes, that sentence is perfect. I'm innovative.
Okay, thank you.
And in that sentence, there's no comma.
Yeah, like this.
John,
Yes?
correct to say if I had not been swimming, someone would not have stolen my credits and my phone.
Right. Someone would not have stolen my credit cards. Yeah. You could say, so notice you could say it, no one would have stolen or someone would not have stolen. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, Amenovevas, you're good. Dara, the one you have for the next one is nice, but remember it's forgotten. for the past participle. And Christelle, you've got the forgotten. If I had not forgotten the address, I would have found the house. Perfect, Christelle, perfect. And Amenuveves, yours is perfect. And I think I'm going to ask you to do just a couple more of these. And the reason why is this is the kind of thing, it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys know about baseball or soccer. The more you practice, the more it becomes easier to do this. I'm going to move to the next ones, okay, guys? Bradley, it is your birthday, so you don't have to answer these.
My birthday too.
Wait, it's incredible. It's everyone's birthday.
Today.
Yes, yes.
Don't worry, I have a birthday surprise for everyone.
I read it.
It's a little present I call a new essay. So take a look at these ones and see what you can come up with. I'm going to put up some answers that you can compare. Let me tell you, this was a rough weekend over at Eric's house.
Yeah. Looks like he
has a gray cloud on it.
Yeah, exactly. If I had had my cell phone, I would have called Eric. Zara, perfect. Yes. And this is where it gets really confusing. If I had had my cell phone, whenever you start having had, that's where you have to take a deep breath.
Panic attack is coming.
Is it okay if I use I would? Because I always use it.
Which word?
Instead of could. If I had my cell phone, I would call Eric.
I would have called Eric.
Yeah.
Or I would have called, yep. And I could have, yeah. Yeah, would is okay too. Would, though, when you use would, you're saying it's definite you would have called them, which would make sense. If I had, Nate, you have to use two hads. If I had my cell phone. Christelle, you got it. Zara, you got it. Where's Ming? Where's Ming? Is Ming writing anything up here? Ming, I miss you.
Yes, I'm thinking about that.
I had my cell phone, I would have called her. My cell phone had. Now remember, Anne, for number 7 there, the verb is to be.
Been, so it's been.
So if my cell phone had been password protected. Oh wait, no, you know what though? What you wrote is good. If my cell phone had password protection. Oh yeah, no, that's perfect, Anne. Nicely done, nice.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. I didn't read all the way to the end of the little phrase. That's good. The chief would have been able to
use.
The thief, yeah. But notice, wait, if my cell phone, the thief would not have been able to use my phone. Because remember, my cell phone wasn't password protected. The thief did use it. But if I had password protection, the thief would not have been able to use it. You see what I mean? One of the things too with these structures is you also want to keep in mind, figure out, well, what's the story here? What happened? And then what am I saying could have happened? If I'd had my cell phone, I would have called Eric. If I had my cell phone. cell phone had been password, the thief would not have been able to use. Yes, Christelle, nice. So notice here, the thief would not have been able to use my phone. Where's Chu in here? Chu, I know you're here. I know you're here, Chu.
Yes.
Are you able to write something up there? Or at least write something. You don't have to necessarily post it, but if you have it, that's good. If I had put a password on my phone, the thief wouldn't have been able to use it, Doris. Remember, for the main clause, you have to say wouldn't have been able to. Okay? My cell phone had the password. The thief would not have been able to use it, Marion. Or would not have used it. You could say that. The thief would not have, with a VE, used with a D. It.
Mm-hmm.
If I hadn't had personal information on my cell phone, the thief couldn't have done it. Nice, Sarah. Nice. Perfect. For number 8. So I had not had personal. Perfect, Anne. Perfect. And then just to make matters worse, there was no sunscreen. I got a terrible sunburn. It is not easy. If I had not put my personal information, the thief would not. Remember, Mayameen, the thief would not have been able to get my, or the thief would not have gotten my bank account. Christelle, the thief would not have gotten my bank account numbers. We have to remember, we have to use the have gotten. I know that's a lot of verbs.
It said the thief would not have been able to get my bank account.
Yep, would not have been able to get my bank account. That would work, yep.
Okay.
Oh, Ming, there you are. If I hadn't had any personal information in my cell phone, the thief would not have, you need one more verb after would not have gotten, G-O-T-T-E-N, would not have gotten my bank account name, okay?
Okay.
If I hadn't forgotten to wear sunscreen, I couldn't have had a terrible sunburn.
I had not forgotten.
Well, now the number 9 is a little bit different because number 9, the result is in the present. Because right now, look at me, ouch, look at that sunburn, ouch. It's right now, I have it now. So if I had not forgotten, if I had not also forgotten to wear sunscreen, I would not have this terrible sunburn. So that is the present.
Mm.
Bradley, you got it, man. Happy birthday. That's perfect. If I hadn't forgotten to wear sunscreen, I would not have a terrible sunburn right now. Perfect, Bradley.
But the first sentence should be in the past perfect, right?
Which one?
Number 9.
Well, the first part is the past perfect, but the second part is then just the modal would. Nice, Beatrice. If I had not forgotten to wear sunscreen, I would not have. Perfect, Nate. The past participle of get is gotten. Well, I have gotten. It's interesting. The past participle of get is usually gotten, although I actually think it can also be got sometimes. And I wonder if that's from the UK or if that's...
Yeah, I already saw that one.
Yeah.
There is a difference from British and American people.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I have got to go is a very common phrase.
Yes.
I've got to go. I would not have got. Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of an option there.
But you always say
Pardon?
where on screen instead to put. You know, sometimes we said put on screen, but it's where, right?
Well, it's interesting. That's a good point. You could say if I had not also forgotten to put on sunscreen.
Okay.
So you say put on sunscreen, and that could work. I would not have got or gotten this terrible sunburn. Or I would not have this terrible sunburn. I would not be in such pain. So guys, this is something you can keep practicing. There are some exercises in the book. One of the things you can also do is think about your own weekend or your own life. And you can think about things that could have been different. Do you ever think like if there was like one fork in your road, one change in your life, and things would have been very different? I remember 29 years ago last week, I met a woman who is now my wife. And if I hadn't gone to this one party, I would never have done it. So that's what this is used. All right, so I'm going to move forward.
I have a question. For this grammar, can I use it when it's not my mistake? For example, I mean, if I will say, if we haven't the pandemic, I will go to the school regularly.
Yes.
I would have to go.
Yeah, you can say that. And that can be something where it's not negative, it's positive. The imaginary is more positive. If the pandemic had not happened, I would be at Georgia State right now, right? Or if the pandemic had not happened, I would have stayed in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can use it. It's oftentimes used to show regret, but it doesn't have to be. It can also be a way to show options, you know?
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Oh my gosh, guys, I apologize. Things are running a little bit late. I'm going to hold off on talking about the summary response until Thursday because I want to spend a little bit of time on this with you. So close your eyes because I'm going to jump through these slides. Close your eyes. Close them. I can see. Thank you, Doris. I can see now. Oh, and I'm going to go through. Okay. Okay, you can open your eyes.
Now?
Red light, green light. Okay. So now you can look at my screen again. And we're going to have our next essay rough draft is due Sunday night. Sunday?
Yeah.
So this is going to be fun because all writing is fun. For this essay, you're going to research a controversy that you have a specific interest in and explain two opposing sides of an issue. In this essay, you're not going to propose a solution and you're not going to agree with one side or the other. This is an analytical report where you describe the two sides. Here are possible topics that I've thought of, but you can think of your own. Restrictions on personal freedoms during a pandemic. Should Georgia State University require masks if people go back to the campus? Or should they be an option? Gun control in the United States. Should international students who get advanced degrees get automatic US residency, like a lot of other countries do? What should be done about undocumented immigrants in the United States? What about controlling exposure to violence in media? Here's another interesting idea for those of you interested in education. Should children have 12 months of school instead of 8 months or 9 months? And then you can also pick your own topic, but it should be a controversy where there are two sides to the idea, to the topic.
So do you mean that we have to talk about both sides?
Yes.
Do I have to show my opinion?
No, no opinion. It's just research and then showing the two sides. So here are some things to think about. First of all, how would you define the issue that you want to talk about? What's the background information or history? For example, I'm very interested in the situation for undocumented immigrants in this country. So I want to give I could give background information about how the United States has addressed immigration. Who is affected? Well, for that topic, the people who are immigrants are affected, and then the society at large is affected. And then what are the two positions? So for example, some people say people who are undocumented immigrants should be given a path to become citizens. Other people say undocumented immigrants can't stay in the United States and need to leave. I have to present both those sides. And then what are the factors that contribute to the issue? For example, is it about infrastructure? Is it about jobs? Is it about language? Is it about culture?
Taxes. The people who pay taxes and don't want to see their money go to somewhere else, but to reinvest it in the...
Exactly, yeah. So what are those factors that are contributing to the issue? And then why is it important? You know, why is that important? And so you have to think about, so for example, if I talk about the issue of Chicago style pizza in the United States, in Atlanta, there's not enough pizza restaurants in Atlanta. Here's a secret. It's not significant. It doesn't matter. So I would have to find a better topic. You want to pick something that's important. For me, undocumented immigration, these are people's lives. It matters. You know, these are the neighborhoods and the people that make up our city. So it matters. What I'm going to ask you to do for this essay is give an introduction paragraph. Oops, forgive me, I have a little typo on that. Yeah. The thesis statement, but it's not about the causes of the solution. I'm sorry, that's a typo. That's from our old one. The background paragraph is going to have factual and historical information about the issue, including circumstances that have led to it. Then you're going to just have two body paragraphs, but these are going to be pretty substantial because one will be one side, the other will be the other side. And then a concluding paragraph, and you need to have at least 3 sources that you cite correctly.
So the thesis statement have 2 points, or no, the same 3 points?
The thesis statement is just going to be that you are looking at both sides of a specific issue. Okay. So for example, for my thesis statement, if I'm going to write about undocumented immigrants, I would write a thesis statement like, the issue of undocumented immigrants in the United States is dividing people, and we need to analyze both sides of this issue. That's a thesis statement. Yes, Beatrice.
What about the conclusion? If we cannot agree with one or the other, then how we state a conclusion? Because it is very complicated.
Well, what it is you need to then, in your conclusion, you have to emphasize, because hopefully what you've done in your essay is you've shown all these different facts, this information about this topic. Mm-hmm. The conclusion will just be we need to examine this and a decision needs to be made, and this is going to have an impact on people. But you're not going to be making the decision. You are going to just present the two sides. You see what I mean?
Okay.
Now, here's a what's the word? Here's a little secret I will share. You will, before this class is out, have to write an essay in which you need to persuade me about one side or the other. But that's not this essay. It's coming later. Okay. You need to have three essays.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Okay.
wow.
It's okay. I understand. This is the rubric. I'm not gonna go through this because you can see it. It's in the iCollege folder as well as on the PowerPoint. And the homework that is due for Thursday is try to do all those exercises in Unit 17. There's something about vocabulary used in summary response, and we'll talk more about that on Thursday. And then the homework for Sunday night, of course, we have a quiz. I would like you to post in the discussion board, but that is actually optional and extra credit for this week because you're going to be doing a lot of work on your rough draft.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the discussion is optional and extra credit. You don't have to do that. And then your rough draft, essay I want by Sunday night. So it's a lot of work, but I know you guys can do this.
So it is the rough draft essay, the quiz, the discussion, and the exercises on Unit 17, correct?
Right, that's everything.
Okay,
And the discussion board is extra credit.
got it.
If you want to do it, you can. If you don't, that's okay. All right?
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question. How many arguments do we have to give for each paragraph, for each side?
Well, what you want to do is you want to come up with the most effective arguments for each side. Okay. And I would say it's probably going to be two to three arguments that you would, like, here's one point why undocumented immigrants should stay in the United States and become citizens. Here's one point why, and some background. Here's another point. Here's another point. That would be one paragraph. And then the second paragraph would be, here's why undocumented immigrants should not be allowed to stay. Here's one argument. Here's a second argument. Here's a third argument. About like that. So they're going to be relatively robust paragraphs.
There's any possibility of any sample essay that?
Yes, there are 3 sample essays in the folder for this essay in iCollege. Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And I want, you can choose one of my topics, and we'll talk about this on Thursday.
Okay.
But you can also choose something that's relevant to you,
I have very interesting topic in mind.
So it can be, about the field, whether it's public health, law, education, business, whatever it is that is most relevant to you, or you can choose one of the ones that I have. Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Well, Bradley, that rough draft, that's my birthday present to you. I hope you enjoy it, Bradley.
Okay.
And the beautiful thing is, everyone gets this present. I hope you have a good birthday, Bradley.
Thank you.
And I'll see you on Thursday.
See you on Thursday.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Birthday,
Bye.
Bradley.
Yeah, happy birthday, Bradley.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you guys.
Bye.